No.
You don't have to speak.
No, you're alright.
Okay. I'm gonna say I could talk over top while you drive if you wanted to, and then I could trim it down and put it onto YouTube. That. Why, you've been doing it again with track limits?
Yeah. How are we going to do that video then?
I'll jump on board you. I can then save it to my thing, my PlayStation. I can what do you do? Press share and you screenshot it, don't you? Record to 10 minutes or whatever.
I have no idea.
So basically, I'll just jump on board you. I'll spectate you, and then you can do the track limits or do where you know they are, and then we can upload it.
Fair enough.
Right, I'm going to mute you because it's only one race. Should be about half an hour, I think, because it's that one that got cancelled last week where servers went down.
Yeah, alright, pal.
And then I'll be back in half hour and we can do it tonight if you want or something. Alright. Good evening and welcome to Motive Racing's Clio Cup Round 6 here at Monza Short. The replay event from last week when unfortunately during qualifying we lost the Project Cars servers, all the servers went down. So we have to run the replay event for tonight. I can talk you through the grid, in which I am led to believe it's going to be a rolling start. So Shoulders 54 will start on pole with Andy in second place. BT Traga will start third with Emo Guy in fourth. Nick the Villa will start fifth with Superfast Joe in sixth place. Fury seventh, Smoky Devil in eighth with DJ Phil Green in ninth. Little Each, the Tier 2 champion, will start in P10 with Gary 131 in 11th. Melted Dazza will start 12th with Nathan Rutter 13th. Motoring Morgan 14th, and the Only G starts 15th and last for you then. So I'm led to believe that it is a formation lap and then a rolling start. So one formation lap to get everybody into the correct order based off of last week's qualifying session. But we'll see what happens here. We only have 13 drivers on the grid, so the field may change ever so slightly here. But as we get ready, I don't think they're going to be racing to the line. No, in fact, they're going to start to get in order then here. So this is where they should be. Shoulders on pole position. So let's see if Shoulders gets second. Yes, he does. With Andy should creep up into second. Andy's currently third. Where's Emo Guy? Emo Guy's sitting second at the moment, but should drop down to P4. So yeah, no, Emo Guy's still sitting second at the moment. He needs to drop back a bit with Andy P4 then. At the moment, Nick the Villa should start fifth. So Andy's now into second. We should be having BT Traga, who's not here, so that will promote Emo Guy into fourth place, and that will promote Nick the Villa into so Emo Guy will be promoted to third. Nick the Villa will be promoted to fourth, with Superfast Joe again not here, promoting Fury to fifth place, which is occupied by Motoring Morgan at the minute. Fury needs to get himself up into P5. So after Nick the Villa, we're expecting Fury. Shoulders needs to be in front of Andy as well, unless they're lining up 2 by 2 as they come around towards the final corner. So where is Fury then? Fury should be up in P5. Here, all a bit of a mess and a scramble to the line. Emo Guy's gone quickly with Andy. Motoring Morgan should actually be towards the back of the field. Emo Guy should be dropping behind Andy here. I think we're going to be doing one more lap, or is this the green flag ready to go? We'll see in just a moment. I think a few people have got a bit confused. So we're stopping at the final corner. Motoring Morgan should be starting by the back, so should the Only G, but they're currently 5th and 6th. I'm not quite sure what is happening here. Andy looks like he's gone now. Andy looks like he's away, very cautiously albeit. Fury isn't there tonight as well, actually. Sorry Fury, apologies. So with Fury not here, Smoky Devil should have been up there. So there goes then Shoulders, Andy, then Emo Guy, Nick the Villa, Superfast Joe's away, Fury's away, Smoky Devil should then come after Nick the Villa. Smoky Devil's not here, so then it should be DJ Phil after Nick the Villa, who's currently ahead of Emo Guy. Motoring Morgan and G should be towards the back of the grid, ahead of Bunyip Adventure, but still towards the back. Melted Daz is where he should be. Gary's pretty much where he should be. Shoulders is absolutely gone. Andy's down in P5 when Motoring Morgan's up into 4th, and this should be down the back end of the grid. Getting flashes from Andy, I'm not sure why. I don't really know what's going off here, to be honest. So they come down the start straight. Shoulders is absolutely gone here. So's Nick de Villa. Motoring Morgan's now motoring away. And I think the race has actually started here then. I'm not 100% certain, but I think the race has gone here. I think we're lights out and away we go. But the grid didn't turn out the way the guys had planned it to be. So we'll have to wait to see what happens then. But either way, Shoulders, who has just absolutely cruised away then at the moment, with Nick de Villa into second place, Motoring Morgan third, Andy in fourth, Emo Guy down in fifth, the Only G sixth, with Nathan Rutter in seventh, DJ Phil's eighth, the Only G pulling out behind Emo Guy. Bunyip Adventures is ninth, with Gary in 10th, Little Each 11th, and Melted Daz 12th. So I'm not 100% certain what went off at the start, but we will see as Motoring Morgan then comes round the final corner, just ahead of Andy, who's got Emo Guy. In fact, look at the battle in the background. There's Emo Guy, the Only G. What's going off? There's more flashes of the lights from behind. I'm not sure what is happening here. Bunyip Adventure, Gary 131, DJ Phil, Little Each and Melted Daz are all having a little battle here. And Gary's in the middle of DJ Phil and Bunyip Adventure. And let's Gary gets past Bunyip Adventure then. Nathan Rutter just in front. Gary ahead, Little Each down in 11th place, the Tier 2 champion. Don't forget, G is the Tier 1 champion. Well, that start hasn't gone as well as predicted there, that's for sure. But we're racing now, and you know, we're away. Shoulders has got a very good start here. He's currently 2.6 up the road from Nick de Villa. Motoring Morgan a bit further back. You can see on the front of this little pack here in the green and blue Clio, the yellow Clio is Andy, then you've got the grey and yellow is Emo Guy, with the G in the monster liveried colours, the Nicholas Hamilton colours I do believe. And he's going to pass Nick de Villa with the slipstream from Andy. He's going to go straight up the inside past Nick de Villa. And he looks like he's going to send one on Andy here into turn one. In fact, yes, he does, but can't get the move done. Did try and brake later. What's happening in the background? That's Bunyip Adventure. Gary all sideways. That's Little Leech and Melted Daz squeezing past the two of them two. And Melted Daz now up into 7th, but Little Leech should have the inside line. Gary then follows Little Leech through and gains a place, and I think so did Bunyip Adventure. Followed them all through. Now look at the battle up here for second place. Nick de Villa really having to hold off Motoring Morgan, Andy, G and Emo Guy. They're all battling into the corner. Look at G, he's pretty much pushing Andy through the parabolica then as they come down the start straight now to finish lap 5 and start the 6th lap of this race. Shoulders in the meantime is being allowed to spread his wings and fly here. And then the battle back in the background. Melted Dazza is trying to go around the outside of Gary 131. DJ Phil and Nathan Rutter in the back two on the grid. But look at Bunyip Adventure. We saw him in the final 2 rounds of the Tier 2 competition really take the fight to Little Each, and Gary looks like he's going to make this 3 wide and entertain it, and up the inside, bit of a sooty sending manoeuvre on Bunyip Adventure, and gets that move done. But can Bunyip keep it around the outside to send one up the inside into the next corner to then come onto the back straight on what is the exit of Ascari chicane? In fact, Bunyip Adventure and Little Each have both gone into the wall as Bunyip and Little Each made contact. So both into the wall, the 2 Tier 2 racers, the champion and the challenger, in the wall there then. Nothing they could have done about that. But now DJ Phil is on the back of Little Each, and look at this, he's going to try and make a move then as they come to the parabolica. He's going to look up the inside in the similar liveries, but DJ Phil running more of a green. Oh, and they've slid it. DJ Phil has slid into the side of Little Each. That probably corrected Little Each a little bit, but not what he'd have wanted. Only G is up into second, and he's trying to motor around the outside of Motoring Morgan. And is he going to get this move done? If he can keep his nose there, still be side by side, and I don't think he has. I think Morgan's just done enough. Now, does he send one up the inside? No, Morgan covers the line off well. And look at the run G gets coming out of that final corner then. As the camera's jumping around everywhere there, we'll just change back to Andy. There's Gary and Melted Dazza just coming onto the back straight there, you see. Melted Dazza's going to try and make it side by side, but look at the Only G. He's going to look for a move up the inside into Parabolica, and he does so just later on the brakes, is G, and gets that car planted in. Melted Dazza is going to try and come back at him here. Andy in the background with Nick de Villa is side by side, and look at Motoring Morgan still side by side, in fact tapping the Tier 1 champion of the Only G then as we come down to start their 7th lap of this 33 lap race. And across the line they go then. So where does D brake? Does he outbrake Motoring Morgan to go around the outside? No, I don't think he can, but he's more side by side with him this time round than what he was last time, so he's got in front, in fact, now through the exit to turn 2 and around the bend at turn 1 and out around the second bend. He's managed to get in front of Motoring Morgan, so a good move from him. Andy is trying to get on the back of this battle as well. You've got Motoring Morgan, you've got Nick the Villa and Emo Guy in the background as well, trying to stay with this the trio in front of them, sorry. Nick the Villa's actually going to make it side by side. He's going to look up the inside of Emo Guy there. And that's a good move up the inside. No, Nick the Villa's on the outside, so it's Emo Guy up the inside. Look at that, good move done. And that's a place guaranteed because he's going to be up the inside down the straight. So good move there from him. Gary's still got Melted Dazza on the rear of his car. Little Leach is 10th, right behind Nathan Rutter. There's DJ Phil and Bunyip Adventure. So the last 4 are all in a battle as well. Motoring Morgan has re-overtaken the only G. Let's go back to that battle. There is Motoring Morgan with G back up the inside as we jump on board there. G right up the inside and back in front he goes. So a good move that from G. And Andy looks like he's going to try and follow G in the slipstream down the back straight. G comes over to defend slightly from Andy, and Andy's been forced onto the grass there from G. Probably a bit more side by side than what they realised. And Andy's kept his footing, but has potentially lost out there to Emo Guy around the outside. In fact, I think Andy was on 2 wheels at one stage here, and he's had a bit of an incident. The cameraman's going crazy. He's had a bit of an incident with Nick the Villa there. This will allow Gary to catch up no end. There you see, just in front on board with Gary, there is Andy and Nick the Villa. But Gary 131 has actually been overtaken up the inside by Melted Dazza there. So good overtaking manoeuvre from the Melted Dazza. And on the run down to turn 1 now. This for the battle for 8th. They've got Andy right in front of Gary. Sends one on Melted Dazza and then clips the curb on the exit there and just goes onto 2 wheels and allows Melted Dazza back through. Melted Dazza back up the inside then as they come down the back straight. Nick the Villa is all over the place on the back straight, you saw there. Gary will have a lovely tow from Melted Dazza coming down this straight. And the bumper cam we see. Look at the slipstream take effect. Is Gary going to send one up the inside here to the parabolic? In fact, he does. Look at that, just a lot later on the brakes than Melted Dazza. I can hear Melted Dazza going around the outside and trying to keep it side by side. There he is, look. Gary will be wanting that tow from Nick the Villa to help him down the straight, but he's not going to get it. These two still side by side then. Motoring Morgan and G still scrobbling out. Shoulders still leads the way, but look at Gary here. He's just got a car in front, and can he keep it there for the time being? He'll have the inside line. He's later on the brakes, we've seen already. Doesn't touch the curb this time and keeps all 4 wheels planted on the floor. Andy and Nick, they're battling it out for P5 and P6 on track. Motoring Morgan and G, there you go, look, still battling it out. They're reeling in shoulders. You saw at the bottom of your shot, we've not seen much of him since the start, but only G really trying to give it everything he's got here. He's going to look around the outside. DJ Phil is within a second of Nathan Rutter at the back of this pack. In fact, side by side coming down the back straight. Well, that's Bunyip Adventure looking very, very, very slow there. In fact, a bit slow that Nathan Rutter was flashing away. And Bunyip Adventure looked like he was more in the way than anything else. So I'm not sure why he was going slow. Maybe a slow down penalty. But Nathan Rutter around the outside of DJ Phil, just a bit more confidence. Gary's been re-overtaken by Melted Dazza then. So Gary back down to 8th. Melted Dazza is up to 7th place here. Now, what can Gary do? He's quite a way back this time around and can't send one up the inside. G still struggling behind Motoring Morgan here. Let's jump on board G on the bumper cam. And here we can see G looking to send one up the inside. Melted Dazza just getting that back end twitched out, sliding out a little bit. That can sometimes help you get the car turned in quicker. Just don't let it slide out too much. And on the power they go. G will be all in the slipstream of Melted Dazza. Just can he get later on the brakes and find a move up the inside? Bunyip Adventure, see on my timing screens, has repassed DJ Phil then. And Little Leach trying to close in on Gary 131. Melted Dazza's gained on Nick the Villa, who's been dropped by Andy. Look at Motoring Morgan there. Just looked like he made a slight mistake. And G had a sniff up the inside, but nothing more than a sniff. Look at them as they come across. Melted Dazza, Motoring Morgan, absolutely brilliant racing from these two. Good stuff. Nick the Villa and Melted Dazza have both pitted then. They're both doing their mandatory pit stop. Melted Dazza is away. Nick the Villa is also away. So a good stop for the two of them. They're the first two to pull the triggers on the pit stops then. Bunyip Adventure gaining on the back of Nathan Rutter. And the only G and Motoring Morgan, that's really the only battles on track at the moment. So here is G. Look at how close G is now. He's closer than he's been for some time. Look, that's the bumper cam. He's all over the bumper of Motoring Morgan. You saw there how close he actually was. He was pretty much pushing him down the straight. He's now going to look for a cutback. And can he get it done here? No, he's just clipped the wall. And a slight mistake there from G as he clips the wall ever so slightly. Just kind of ruins his run through this first little complex. And that's not what G will be wanting there then. So a little mistake from G. It's not cost him big time, but it's cost him enough that he couldn't make a move onto the back straight. Nathan Rutter, after pitting, is... Nick the Villa was the one who pitted. Nathan Rutter at the back of the pack has been re-overtaken by Bunyip Adventure after Bunyip Adventure was slow down the back straight for something. Nathan Rutter will be in the slipstream as well, as DJ Phil looked like he had a bit of lag in the background there. Down towards the Parabolica they come. Emo Guy has been overtaken by Andy, so Emo Guy may have made a mistake. So I didn't see Andy within that 1 second mark of him. Must have made a mistake then, did Emo Guy, because he's dropped to 5th now, and we'll have a hot Gary 131 on his heels soon. Little Leach in a 7th place after we saw Little Leach, Motoring Morgan in only G in the first race last week have an absolutely brilliant battle before the servers decided to crash on us. Here's Nathan Rutter on the back of Bunyip Adventure then. Can't seem to be getting a move done. Let's go back to the battle for second place between Motoring Morgan and Only G, because they're side by side coming down the start line, and start lap 16 of 33. So we're just at half distance. And G just on 2 wheels there. He saw just clip that curb and slightly goes up to 2 wheels. Has got past the inside, up the inside of Motoring Morgan, and has got that move done. Now he'll want to start to pull away here. Mtcc, you see there at the bottom of your screen, is about to become a lap down from Shoulders. But these guys have all got to pit. Everybody from 10th upwards still has to pit then here. But a good start so far for Shoulders. He's got himself out in front. He's doing good pace. And he's showing that he's quick enough to win this race so far. G then just has a bit of a gap. Couple of tenths for Motoring Morgan. Can Motoring Morgan here use that slipstream and think about sending one up the inside, or at least have a look, force G into a defensive manoeuvre? Andy currently 8 seconds off the back of Motoring Morgan here. It's pretty much the closest battle on track. And G just ever so slightly pulling out a couple more tenths here as he sets the fastest first sector than anyone so far. So G just slowly pulling out a few tenths through that first complex. We see G then breaking into the Parabolica for the 17th time, and again he's just gradually gained a couple of tenths, but Motoring Morgan in that slipstream will be right back on him. The gap was up to 5 tenths there, and he's going to be right back on him here with the slipstream down the start straight. These two are really gaining on Shoulders now that they're not battling each other as well. They're really starting to pull him in, and look at the gap just slightly closed, gap down to 3.5 tenths then. And now through this first sector, this is where Motoring Morgan's got to be on it, because this is where G's just pulling out some time. So it's 3 tenths on entry, and it's 5 tenths near enough on the exit of the corner. So just a couple of tenths again there for Motoring Morgan. Nick the Villa's been the first one to pick up a time penalty then, as he's trying to gain on the back of DJ Phil after his early pit stop. And look at these two now within that second of Shoulders then. And Shoulders will be wary of this. He'll know what he's got to do. He's got to just keep that pace he's been doing so far. G's gone near enough 9 tenths. In fact, he was 9 tenths quicker last time around than what Shoulders was. So a heck of a lap time that for the ODG. And Shoulders here, just got to be a bit wary, but keep that pace still keep doing what you're doing, because you've drove a fantastic race so far. Let these two battle behind you. They're not quite with you yet, but G is making sure that he's going to be with him as Gary 131 then pits from 6th place. That'll give Little Leach the extra position. Gary's into the pits this time. If you missed last week's Tier 2 race, Gary 131 and Little Leach started on the slick tyres in a wet race. Brilliant news, but Little Leach then pitted for his pit stop to get off the wet tyres and to get off the slick tyres and put slicks back on. So it didn't go the way Little Leach wants to, but he managed to win his title. Look at Motoring Morgan now. He's going to look up the inside on the exit to Parabolica, and he's going to be side by side with the Only G as they come down the exit. Who's going to have Shoulders as slipstream? It looks like G's got more of the slipstream than what Motoring Morgan has. But I don't think that's going to help G out at all, because Morgan's up the inside. It's not like he can cut in front. And who's later on the brakes? I tell you what, G has done absolutely brilliant there to stay in front. Who's that that's just been lapped? I think Nathan Rutter. Nathan Rutter's been lapped then. That is Nick the Villa and DJ Phil battling as Little Leach is now in the pits. Gary jumped Melted Dazza in the pit stops then. So everybody from 10th up is from 9th up still to pit bar Little Leach, because Little Leach is now in the pit lane. And look at this, it's 3 wide into the Parabolica. Melted Dazza up the inside of the Only G and Shoulders. G's up the inside of Shoulders, and Shoulders having to go the longer way around. But it's not necessarily the slower way. He could tuck back in behind G now and get the slipstream. That was a great move. Nice, clean, respectful race in there. And 3 abreast still down the start straight. This is absolutely fantastic from these 3. Melted Dazza just losing a bit of pace, and look at Shoulders, got a right run out of Parabolica and breaks into turn 1 and manages to cover off G. Does he? No, I think G's managed to keep it there. That's Little Leach just in front of them, who is close to being a lap down. He's not managed to gain on Melted Dazza any. They see Nick the Villa, DJ Phil, Gary, Melted Dazza and Little Leach all in front. Everybody then from 8th up has still got to pit. So even though Little Leach may become a lap down, everybody behind has still got to pit. And now here G goes again up the inside of Shoulders, and he's got the move done now into the lead. Shoulders still on the outside. In fact, he's probably run a bit wider there than what he'd have liked to. Here comes Melted Dazza though. Let's see what Melted Dazza can do. Can he get back in that slipstream? He does. Look at the run. Shoulders gets out that final corner and he launches himself down the straight. Melted Dazza and the Only G is side by side so far. They're pretty much door to door. Here comes Shoulders around the outside. G cuts across the track and can't go as far as he'd have liked, because Shoulders is here. Shoulders going to try and go the long way round, and Motoring Morgan loses the rear, and somehow Shoulders manages not to collect him, but that's allowed G to just pull a couple of tenths out here and get away. What a bit of racing from these 3 over this past couple of laps then, and G finally leads. He's got a 6/10 gap now to Motoring Morgan. Shoulders the real loser in that one, down to 3rd place. Nearly got collected as well. That could have ruined what has been a fantastic race from Shoulders so far. And it's all dying down a little bit now, but Motoring Morgan will look to get on the slipstream of the Only G, while G has the slipstream of Little Leach here. So still no more pit stops yet. We're on lap 22. We're on lap 23 of 33 then. So 11 to go. Gary and Melted Dazza are gaining on the back of DJ Phil, as you saw Little Leach was moving out the way, or had to stay out the way there of the Only G. In fact, where is G gone there? They seem to take a while to come out that final corner there. Little Leach keeping well out the way of G. Motoring Morgan, Shoulders, they're all still battling each other, don't forget. Melted Dazza on the back of Gary 131 then. Gary trying to gain on the back of DJ Phil, so at least Gary will have a bit of slipstream coming down the straight, like Motoring Morgan, like Melted Dazza will, sorry. And here it comes out to Parabolica down the start straight to start their 23rd lap of this race. And down they come as Only G dived into the pit lane then, so Motoring Morgan will inherit the race lead from Shoulders. And look at Gary 131, he's trying around the outside of DJ Phil, but has left the door wide open to Melted Dazza then. And has Melted Dazza done enough to get it up the inside onto the back straight? No, he hasn't, but Gary 131 here is really looking on it and really wanting to get the run on DJ Phil, and in fact he has got the run on DJ Phil. But look at Melted Dazza here trying to make it 3 wide then as they go through towards Parabolica. Bunyip Adventures has moved up to 5th as Emo Guy pits as well. So can these lot jump Emo Guy? That's Nick the Villa, who's ran a bit wide, and Gary manages to defend from Melted Dazza but gain a place on DJ Phil. So a fantastic move from Gary, 1-3-1, and they look like they could pass Emo Guy in the pits here. You hear Emo Guy pulling away, and yes they do. All three of these guys then pass Emo Guy, and they're gaining so much on Nick the Villa. Look at DJ Phil having a look up the inside of Melted Dazza, who was up the inside of Gary, 1-3-1. But at the minute, Shoulders and Motoring Morgan now pit. Where's the only G's? Behind Bunyip Adventure and Andy. Andy still hasn't pitted. Motoring Morgan still there. Shoulders still stationary. Both are stationary here. Shoulders is away, and he's going to leapfrog Motoring Morgan in the pits. Where's the only G? He's rounding the Parabolica now, and he's up to full speed already. Shoulders isn't up yet, quite yet up to racing speed. Where's G? Where's G? G's there. Shoulders is away now. So's Motoring Morgan. And G has done them both with quite easy. In fact, he's probably gapped him a little more than what it was when they came into the pit. So a good move that from G. Motoring Morgan, though, down in 5th place, lost out to Shoulders in the pits. The only people who haven't pitted yet is Bunyip Adventure and Andy. Andy at the minute coming through the Parabolica leads by 14 seconds over Bunyip Adventure. So good lead here. We've seen in the past that Andy can race hard and get till the end and then pit late on and it work out for him. We've also seen that from DJ Phil as well. So I think everybody other than DJ Phil and Andy and Bunyip Adventures has pitted. I can't remember if DJ Phil has or not. But Gary on the is back ahead of Melted Dazza, and is taking Nick the Villa with these two. So they both got past Nick the Villa. Andy's at the back of the start straight. G, Shoulders and Motoring Morgan will be on the back of Bunyip Adventure in just a moment. But look at Melted Dazza here. Such a run out of the Parabolica. And in fact, Emo Guy's going to take the slipstream, but he's going to take the slipstream of Melted Dazza. Probably the wrong one. He'd have probably wanted to have took Gary's to try and send one up the inside of Melted Dazza into turn 1. But look at the run Melted Dazza's got here. And it's absolutely brilliant racing between these two all race so far. These have been fantastic. Gary manages to hold on to the lead at the onto 6th place at the moment. And he's going to keep it up the inside. Look at Nick the Villa. He's going to have a look up the inside there then. And is that Melted Dazza running a bit wide? No, as Emo Guy wasn't fully alongside him in the corner then. Motoring Morgan gaining on the back of Shoulders, but not as close as these guys are at the minute. And Nick the Villa really pushing these two hard down the back straight. Melted Dazza and Gary, 1-3-1. We've seen such a battle between these two all race so far. Look at that. Emo Guy's going to look up the inside of Nick the Villa's going to look up the inside, of Melted Dazza here, and they're going to be side by side coming down the start straight. Nick the Villa, don't forget, the only one with a time penalty so far, and he's tucked into the slipstream of Melted Dazza. But Gary's just got himself a bit of breathing space so far here, just managed to do enough. Andy still has a 14-second lead over Bunyip Adventures as Motoring Morgan and Shoulders are gaining on the back of the only G. Andy's now in the pits. So where is G? Andy's away now, and I think G, Shoulders and Motoring Morgan will pass him quite comfortably. Yeah, they're already going to pass him, look, before he's even at the pit exit. Motoring Morgan dropped off the back of these two here. A look at Shoulders. He's going to look up the inside of only G, then into turn 1. And G looking for the cutback, but the gap quickly went to Shoulders, kept a tight line on the inside. And Shoulders, 2nd place on track at the moment. Net first at the minute with Bunyip Adventure still having to pit. Melted Dazza, in the meantime, still on the back of Gary, 1-3-1. Nothing he can do at the moment on that. Motoring Morgan's got on the back of G and Shoulders here, though. And G up the inside of Shoulders, heading towards Parabolica. Lap 28 of 33. Bunyip Adventure leads this race by 3.6 seconds. Shoulders a lot wider than he'd have wanted to have been there. But look, he's always got a good run out the Parabolica, and this could help him here. Motoring Morgan and him pretty much side by side. Motoring Morgan now tucks into the slipstream of Shoulders. Bunyip Adventure is in the pits. So can Andy jump him in the pits? We'll see. But Shoulders, he's going to look up the inside now, and Melted Dazza maybe thinks around the outside to make it 3 wide, but doesn't. Keeps it there, tucked in. Shoulders a bit wider this time, and look at him, they're 3 abreast pretty much through the 2nd and 3rd corner. And Shoulders has managed to take the lead from G again, but G sneaks one up the inside there. Leans on Shoulders on the exit. Bunyip Adventures drop down to P8. A bit of a longer pit stop than he'd have probably wanted. Little Each will be on the back of him as he exits the pit lane. But these three are three wide. Down towards the Parabolica they come. Shoulders on the right. Melted Dazza on the left. G in the middle. Shoulders just drops behind the two, and G pretty much pushing Motoring Morgan round the Parabolica then. Look at Shoulders, watch the run he gets, watch the launch he gets at his final corner. A flash of the lights from Shoulders there to say, I'm still here lads, don't forget me. And he's going to come, he's going to take the longer way around. This could be three abreast again going into turn one. Look at how tight Motoring Morgan is keeping the line with only G. They come back across now. Shoulders could benefit from this if there's a mistake. He's going to cut up the inside of Jersey. If he can keep it around the outside of this next little flick, he'll have the inside up towards the back straight, but he can't keep it there. And this is great racing from the three of them. Gary's up into 5th place with Melted Dazza still on the back of him. Bunyip Adventure on the back of his Ode title challenger. Sorry, title competitor, as Little Each won the title in the tier 2 ranks. Emo Guy gaining on the back of Nathan Rutter, but this for the lead at the minute. 3 between the leaders. Motoring Morgan currently leads from the only G, then Shoulders in 3rd. Now what's going to happen as they come down towards turn 1 again here. Look at G and Motoring Morgan keeping that tight line. Shoulders not as close this time around as he want to be. Only G's gone up into P1 and has done Motoring Morgan around the outside. Now Motoring Morgan's got to keep it there as they head towards the back straight. The slipstream is effective, yes, but he needs to keep it tight to G, and G's got the move done then here. Nick the Villa is in the pits once again. Now where is G going to think of defending going up towards the Parabolica then? There is Andy in the background, currently 8 seconds off the back of these three who keep scrapping. Gary and Melted Dazza have just come onto this back straight then. Watch the launch Shoulders gets through this corner. He's just slowly dropping off the back of these two. Really could do with keeping with them. He really needs to if he's to have a chance of winning this race, but dropping off the back quite quickly. Now then, Motoring Morgan pulls out and he's going to be up the inside line as they head to turn 1. G just closing that line quite a bit then, and frees up the space. That's Nick the Villa who's just come out of the pits. There he is. G a bit sideways through turn 1, but Motoring Morgan gets the move done up the inside then there. Shoulders still sticking with them, has gained a little bit, but needs to keep in that slipstream, needs to just follow them down this start straight. He can get a double toe here provided they don't pull out. Bunyip Adventures is back in the pits again, not quite sure why that is. That'll allow Nathan Rutter and Emo Guy through. There they go. DJ Phil should also gain an extra place. Shoulders here, not able to make a move. In fact, he's dropped a couple more tenths off the back of these two. Nick the Villa will need to move out the way shortly, but G's just sticking one up the inside now. If the slipstream of Nick the Villa is for Motoring Morgan, that'll just help Motoring Morgan pull down the straight a bit more than G, but G is managing to keep that nose of his Renault Clio up the inside of Motoring Morgan, and in fact he's used Nick the Villa to sort of box Motoring Morgan in towards turn 1, so Morgan couldn't brake later to defend from G there. Good thinking, good driving from G. And we're on the 33rd and final lap, so this is it. This is all it is to play for. G's already got the title wrapped up, but what a race we've had here. The replayed race from last week. It's been brilliant so far. Nick the Villa off. Shoulders has really dropped off the back. In fact, Nick the Villa round there on the straight, not quite sure what he's doing. In fact, Shoulders is slowing down. His Shoulders ran out of fuel on the last lap. DJ Phil is pitted now as the leaders are going to finish this race. Has Shoulders run out of fuel as Andy has passed him? But for the final time this season, it's going to be the only G who's going to take a win. Fantastic race between him and Motoring Morgan. A win for G then. Motoring Morgan second. Andy is going to be the beneficiary and pick up a 3rd place. I do believe Shoulders has run out of fuel. How unfortunate that is then on the final lap. Gary has managed to just break away from Melted Dazza. Nick the Villa is going to finish in P11. Gary's going to take a 4th from Melted Dazza P5. Little Each will inherit 6th then. Quiet race for the Tier 2 champ, but a 6th place nonetheless. Nathan Rutter will take 7th. Emo Guy in 8th. Shoulders Yeah, he's parked at the side of the road. Look, he's out of fuel after running so well. DJ Phil has finished a lap down on the exit to the pit lane. Nick de Villiers finished 11th, but Shoulders to finish out of fuel. That's so disappointing for him. He was having such a good race with the leaders. How unfortunate that is indeed. But either way, the Only G takes a win from Motoring Morgan. Andy in third, with Gary fourth, Maltadaza fifth, Little Each in sixth, Nathan Rutter seventh, Emo Guy in eighth with Shoulders ninth, DJ Phil Green takes 10th, and Nick de Villa 11th, with Bunyip Adventure retiring a couple of laps from the end. Unfortunate for Shoulders, as he was right on the heels of the leaders there. How unfortunate that was then. But from all of you watching and everybody here at Motive Racing, a big thanks, and we look forward to next season in the Clios then, with some shuffling around of the pack, some Tier 2 guys going up into Tier 1 and Tier 1 guys possibly dropping down after tonight into the Tier 2 category. But we look forward to seeing you all for the second season, and from all of us here at Motive Racing, a very good evening to you all.